Hey guys, I'm Daniel from Dolier Media, and today I'm going to talk about workplace injuries. Now, recently I hurt my back. It wasn't related to work, but I went back to work and I realized how much I used my back at work, and I couldn't really handle it, so I had to go back on. I personally had a herniated disc. I still have it, and it's like sciatica pain times 5 or 10. I don't even know how to put it, but it's absolutely excruciating. And it kind of got me thinking. A lot of people go to work and people get injured all the time, especially during COVID in the hospital. We had back injuries left and right because we were proning patients, we were lifting patients. And so today I'm going to talk about common workplace injuries and kind of what you should do to avoid them and or at least be aware of them. The first one I'm going to talk about is the one that's close to my heart, which is back injuries. I've been going to a physical therapist. She's been great. And one of the things I realized that I do is I lift things wrong. So if you are going into a field where you're going to have to lift things or you're going to have to bend over a lot, I recommend watching some maybe YouTube videos, maybe seeing a physical therapist and just getting advice on how to lift things right. I'm not going to go over the actual practice because you're supposed to use your legs and your abs a lot. Something I didn't know because I don't really have abs. I mean, I do, but they're hiding under an insulated layer of tissue. But either way, so back injuries. When you're at work, just please protect your back. If you have to do CPR and you work in a hospital, make sure that you switch out after 2 minutes. If you have to lift things, I know they say use your legs, but there is specific form to how to lift things. If you think you're doing it right, or if you start having back pain after doing something at work, definitely spend some time to look into it. Back injuries are pretty much forever if you're kind of screwed. Mine has been going on for about half a year now. That's also why I haven't really been posting. It's been difficult to sit. I'm finally able to sit long enough to actually film a video, but this is something that you should avoid at all costs. So learn how to lift things the right way. Use your legs. It's more like a squat instead of bending over the way I do it. If you're typing on a wow, or if you're dealing with a patient and you're pretty tall like me, maybe do the splits, or I mean, as splitty as you can get. When it comes down to also protecting your back, work out your abs, do as many things you can to strengthen your core. And when you do that, you're going to have a less likelihood of getting back injuries. The next common workplace injury, and this isn't just in the healthcare field, this has to do with every kind of job, is being burnt out. I don't think people talk about it enough, and I don't think it's really treated as an injury, especially you can't really get benefits for it or time off work. But burnout is a real big problem. One of the things you should do to avoid burnout is definitely taking breaks. When you're not at work, don't think about work. Just get your mind off it, relax, do whatever kind of thing you need to do, whether it's meditate, watch a movie, but really try to spend some time in your week not being at work mentally. I know there's people that are architects or accountants or lawyers that you kind of have to take your work home with you, but if you're going to do that, you're going to get burnt out. So come up with a routine for yourself so that you don't get burnt out. Have a good place where you could actually relax and completely free your mind of work. Also, work burns you out, especially with overtime. You're trying to make that money so you can become a millionaire, have a fancy YouTube channel like me. If you do that, you're going to probably get burnt out if you don't have the proper tools that help you. And like I said, one of the things you could do is relax and find some kind of meditating thing to do. But beyond that, you could also talk to people, have some good network of people that you can actually interact with, and you could bounce your stress off them. Now, I know we live in a society right now where you pretty much need to have 3 incomes just to survive and pay rent, with rent being $3,000 on average. And with that being said, it's very difficult to have time off work and take vacations, but I think that's something that's to be implemented again in our society. With millennials and the next generation of kids working right now, we really need to get back into that vacation mentality where you take a few weeks off a year, maybe even a few months off if you can, and just really find yourself again, kind of get grounded back into who you are. But working every single day, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever you're working, after a few months, you really get burnt out and you don't realize it. It's only when you go on that vacation, on your 6th day of vacation, you're like, I was really worked out. I was really worked up. This is not worked out. Thinking about working out. You start realizing you were worked up. You were just so stressed out. You just kind of got burnt out. And the problem with being burnt out is that when you go back to work, you don't even want to do it anymore. You look back at the same things you were doing, and you just don't have the motivation to write that email or answer that phone call or help the person that you're helping. And the best way to avoid that is take some breaks, not only during the week, but also during the year, maybe during the month, and just really separate yourself from your job. Do what you are supposed to do, which is relax and just kind of find yourself. Another common injury in the workplace that you should be able to avoid and that you could probably easily avoid is things related to ergonomics, like strains. In any job, you're gonna have to do stupid tasks that you have to repeat over and over and over, whether it's stapling papers or whether it's charting with your fingers or whatever you gotta do. But those repetitive tasks really add up. And after a while, you do get strains. I used to think carpal tunnel syndrome or any kind of fasciitis was kind of over. I thought people blew it out of proportion until I myself had a problem where my fascia was really tight. And it was the most excruciating pain ever. Your nerves are tense. Your pretty much blood flow is cut off. And it's a horrible thing to experience. So do what you can do. If you realize that you have to do something for long periods of times, like let's say charting for 8 hours a day, if you're a doctor or if you're a lawyer and you have to sit there behind a desk, if you anticipate that you're going to be doing something for a long time, figure out a plan where you can take little short breaks where you stop doing that thing that you're doing. I personally don't have all the tools because I don't know what kind of jobs you're in. If you're in the healthcare field, I could just take short breaks during charting, or if let's say you're doing CPR for a really long time, switch out. If you're bagging a patient, the longest I've ever bagged someone was almost 2 or 3 hours. The vent was just not helping. And 3 hours of doing this with your wrist, of bagging somebody with the ambu bag, you get really sore really fast, and it lasts for a few days. And the best thing to do is anticipate, I'm going to have to do this for a long time. I'm going to switch arms. I'm maybe going to call someone to help me. If you have to type by a desk and you could have the potential of having a strain, make sure you're sitting comfortably. It's very simple tasks that you do, but it will prevent long-term pain and long-term suffering. So just be mindful of that. Think about that. We're not all heroes. I know we're all tough people, but these little minor strains really add up and they really have a toll on your mental health. So just watch out for ergonomics. That's the word. If you work with someone that has like an HR department or some kind of other, department that could help, maybe they can give you some resources to help you out. Hospitals and workplaces spend a lot of money preventing these kind of injuries, so you might have the resources at your disposal. You could just ask your manager about that. And the last injury I'll talk about is, I'd say, stress. It's probably the worst thing that can happen. Now, we all know a lot about stress, and it's kind of mind-boggling how many things are related to stress. So many cancers are caused by stress, or at least amplified through stress. So many other diseases and other disease processes are just solely based on the fact that someone was stressed out. When you have that huge cortisol buildup in your body, that has a negative effect on you for a long time. You could see stress in people's eyes, you could see it in their faces. So stress is one of those things that we hear a lot about, but I don't think anybody has a really good solution, at least so far. So I would just say the best thing you could do is be mindful of the fact that if you are stressed out, catch on early. It starts building up, don't bottle it up, and start trying to come up with a method as to how you could relieve your stress or release it. I know some people, like I was saying about the burnout thing, it's very closely related to stress. Try to figure out a way where you could really meditate and relax and just kind of get your mind off work. But beyond that, there's other things that we do. I know that sleep is a big factor in terms of not having stress. I'm a night shift employee myself, and I have to have at least 8 hours of sleep. Now, if I come home from work around 8 o'clock in the morning, I try to get into bed as soon as I can. Sometimes I'm in bed by 9 o'clock, but that means that I have to be up at least by 5, which leaves me very little time to cook, to get food ready, and to drive to work. So I make it a priority. I try not to watch TV before, try not to watch TV after. I try to not use any electronic devices so that I could unwind and go to sleep. But sleep is a big thing. I know people sacrifice sleep. They want to go out with their friends and they're like, I'm going to be tired tomorrow. But that really starts adding up in your life. You do it once or twice here or there, that's fine. But eventually it kind of has a toll on you. Take care of yourself, have sleep, good food, and try to be mindful of the fact that if you are stressed out, it's going to have a huge negative effect on you. So just these are workplace injuries that we have, not only in the hospital, but everywhere else. And let me know how you deal with stress and other things like getting burnt out. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.